I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Bryan Hernandez, co-founder and president of Structure. Bryan, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Ashton. Nice to be here.
You're very welcome. Let's dive into the world of DeFi. Let's just kick off our conversation with first, what is your team working on with Structure? How are you incorporating DeFi and blockchain solutions into the real world? And then we'll dive into the details.
Sure, yeah. So Structure is a mobile-first trading application. Would be familiar to most people who have done anything in crypto, because usually buying an asset is the first step to doing anything in crypto. But in addition to offering access to trading and cryptocurrencies or things going on in DeFi, we also offer access to the traditional world of financial assets, so stocks and bonds and ETFs, currencies, commodities, things like that.
Interesting. That's great. And with that approach of incorporating traditional finance, do you see that as a trend that's becoming more prevalent, where these platforms will have access to just traditional finance plus crypto, and hopefully that brings crypto into an equal playing field as just products that deserve to be in the same area as all of these other investment products?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems to be a trend over the past at least 2 years. I'm surprised it hasn't happened faster, but the pace of the market can sometimes be slower than you expect. Fundamentally, I've always seen crypto, blockchain, Web3. It's an enabling technology, and it turned out to be a very interesting asset class in and of itself to speculate on and invest in. But we're finally getting to the point to where these technologies have matured such that you can build businesses around them. And this is really unlocking the great promise and potential of the technology to begin with. So as we contemplate like a future DeFi world, or at least DeFi interoperability, putting all of these asset classes on the same stage makes a lot of sense and makes the lives of retail investors and professional investors alike like a lot simpler. I started trading crypto in 2013, 2014, and at that time there was a huge gap between the platforms that would give me access to trading crypto assets and the platforms that would give me access to trading traditional assets. And over time that's gotten narrower, but it's still way too large. And so what you find, no matter the type of trader or investor you are, is when something starts to happen, if you're not already well positioned to take advantage of that by having accounts open in the right places, by having your funds in the right places, you'll miss out, because usually these things don't, like the great opportunities don't last more than a day, sometimes much less than that. And so one of our goals with Structure was to bring as many things as we can under one roof, so that your attention and your assets don't get distributed too broadly.
Definitely, and I like that point, Bryan. And you're right about the opportunities. It's often, hours or minutes where, to get the best opportunity before it disappears, especially in crypto, with it being 24/7 and super fast. And DeFi as well is just growing exponentially. It's hard to keep up with the products and services as you're continuing to build, as the industry continues to expand. Now, building this DeFi product and including the TradFi products in there as well, more specifically focused on DeFi, looking at the DeFi space and how it continues to grow, where are the pain points that you've pinpointed for Structure in a way that you're going to bring a competitive advantage into the DeFi world and become one of those go-to DeFi apps?
Yeah, I don't think the difficulties in DeFi are that distinct from any new technology. It's hard to understand. There's a lot going on, and most people don't have a lot of time to educate themselves and figure out how everything works. So one of the things that we're trying to do is make this as simple as possible. And like what Robinhood did to trading stocks for retail investors in the United States, we want to do to the rest of the world with more than just the stocks and crypto, but the full universe of tradable assets. So, fundamentally, like, there's a lot of value being created in DeFi. Things are growing very rapidly. There's a number of reasons for that. But I think the number of people that are participating in that growth is way too small. And it makes sense why it's small, just because of the reasons that I already mentioned. Most of us don't have 8 hours a day to go through Twitter and read blogs and spend all this time. So So if we can build an app that exposes the best opportunities that are going on in the market and just make it as easy as pushing a button, I think we're going to see much more participation in this world than we're currently seeing, where you have to manage your own Web3 wallet and connect it and write these transactions that people have a very limited understanding of what they're doing. Not to mention the dangers of doing that. So the way I think of commercializing DeFi and crypto technologies is like similar to the way that we commercialized jet travel, right? None of us know how jet engines really work. We get on a plane, we feel safe, we feel like we're going to get to the other end, and it's fine. And the role of the company is sort of this custodian of like, we know the right way to use the technologies, we're going to expose the parts of it that are the most interesting for you and make sure that you get the benefits without having to have this huge depth of knowledge.
Definitely, great analogy. And yeah, it can be intricate on the back end, but let's not have the customers worry about that. Let's just get them onboarded into DeFi and be able to invest in the assets that they want to. Now, I'd love to get more of a scope, Bryan, of it's a big job to build these applications and keep up with the industry at the same time. So let's talk about how long you've been working on it and where exactly you're at with the platform right now.
Yeah, so we got started in August 2020. With our first fundraising from Polychain, and the product is, well, we're never feature complete, but we're the core features are complete. It's being tested in a beta currently, and hopefully we'll be releasing it to a number of countries over the next couple months. Awesome. But yeah, the experience is you can go on and create an account, pass your KYC AML checks, create watch lists of various assets, look at market data, deposit funds, trade between any two assets on that, and also then withdraw your assets.
Awesome. And as you continue to grow, and obviously it's a never-ending process. There's no finish point. You're going to continue to bring updates to the customers and more product features and more DeFi as that continues to grow. Are you expecting people to just flock to Structure as the go-to place and the Robinhood for DeFi, or are you also going to employ specific marketing tactics or draw people in a certain way? How are you going to actually grow the customer user base?
Well, that's a great question. We'll have to see how our first experiments go, but a lot of the names or products that we've come to know and love in crypto actually were able to reach their size and brand equity through just word of mouth, just by building the right product. So that's always been our focus at Structure, is iterating really rapidly on the different features and the problems that we're trying to solve. Obviously keeping open channels for people to make referrals to use the product. But I think the stickiest thing in any domain is if you can help people make money, they are very, very appreciative, and they like to come back to using that. They like to talk about your product. So what we're trying to do at Structure, beyond increasing the access to financial markets to the world as much as possible, we're trying to find ways to make people money. And I think if we're successful in doing that, we won't have any trouble growing the number of users.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. And if you have the right products that people enjoy, they're going to keep coming back. And I've heard some of the greatest crypto companies like Binance just say, as long as you're building products that people are asking for, the community asks for something new, and if there's a majority of them asking for it and you build it, they're going to stay. They're going to love you. I believe that community-oriented projects, especially in crypto, are key to long-term success, because the community leaves, then you're going to lose all that traction. And speaking of having the right products for the community, in the DeFi sense on Structure, there's a lot of different products with DeFi where you can do just the basic assets, but you can also do more speculative, high APY, degenerative DeFi that people hear about, and you can do swaps and liquidity provision. And where is Structure starting to focus on in terms of which digital assets are going to be included and how deep DeFi will go?
Well, we have to focus on the largest volume investment opportunities to make sure that we cover our basis to the most degree that we can first, and then expanding more to the fringe stuff as time goes on. on. Like it's we only have so many development resources to integrate everything all at once. But my philosophy is like let the users' interest drive our product roadmap, and if we can respond to that, then I think people will be pretty happy. It's very encouraging when you work with a service provider. You express a desire to do something, and then in a few weeks, like you at least can try it out in like an MVP level, and so we've kind of built the organization in order to do that effectively.
Awesome. And with that roadmap that we're talking about, in the next few months here, what are the major milestones that you're looking to bring out to the public with Structure?
Yeah. Well, in the next few months, we expect to launch in our first country, which we haven't disclosed publicly yet, but I'll give you the teaser of it's a Latin American country that has been extremely pro crypto and crypto adoption. So we think it's a great test bed to release Structure there, and then we'll be growing outwards from there. My goal is to focus on the countries that have historically been the worst served by financial service providers, and conveniently, these are actually populations that are growing very rapidly, that have a huge amount of interest in crypto and the developments there. So I think it's very well matched, our go-to-market strategy and the needs of people.
I love it. And there's been a lot of talk in the news about just Bitcoin, with Latin American countries starting to maybe make it legal tender, and then who knows from there on. I feel like, in terms of financial inclusion, DeFi is a great way for people in emerging countries that don't have access to financial services to get a loan, to earn interest on their capital when they couldn't access a bank account. Do you see, the major topic of discussion is Bitcoin in other parts of the world, and that's like the gateway to hopefully unlocking the knowledge for people that, hey, these types of assets can also bring us interest and help us be included in a financial system and preserve wealth more than just Bitcoin. But do you see that as like the gatekeeper to bringing everybody into DeFi?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, it's hard to compete with the brand of Bitcoin. It's the largest asset. I think it doesn't need to be the gateway into the world of DeFi, but it's certainly a convenient one, as it's very easy to get in a lot of places. Most people understand it, and its use as a store of value, or as a speculative asset, or even as a form of payment, are reasonable. Like you could do worse. And with things like Lightning Network, right, like it kind of opens up a few more opportunities to use it in a more everyday currency sense. So I don't really have too much strong opinions about whether or not Bitcoin is going to continue to lead forever versus one of the other popular cryptocurrencies. I think they all serve a place in the ecosystem, and so long as that diversity can be maintained, I think we're in a good place.
Definitely, Bryan. And speaking of fitting in and serving its place, I would love to hear your 5-year, 3-year vision, because crypto moves so fast. When the product's out, when there's customers using it in multiple countries around the world, what do you see as the success factor for your team that's going to keep people coming back and be one of those go-to DeFi places, or the Robinhood of DeFi?
Yeah, well, on that timeline, I hope that we're not thought of as a DeFi app or even just a trading app, but it's a place where you can go to make some money, right? And that that this works in as many countries around the world as is possible, as is legal for us to operate in, because at the end of the day, like income inequality, asset ownership distribution is very poor, right? It's very imbalanced. So if we can connect someone to the internet and give them a way of making money, this is like a really game-changing opportunity. There's going to be lots of things that come and go in DeFi. There's going to be lots of interesting opportunities in traditional financial assets. What will not change over that timeline is the need for people to go in and find investment opportunities, to make an allocation decision, and to do it without a huge suck on their time and attention and requiring huge amounts of education. So this is why we're doubling down on making things simple, accessible as many places as possible, and then also not nickel and diming our customers by taking fixed fees of certain for certain transactions. Like if you imagine, even if like your commission was like $1 per trade or something, if you only have $20 to invest this month because that's how much you saved, this is prohibitive, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And so, the right business model with providing lots of access and making things very simple, I think, is going to win in the long term.
Well said, Bryan. And for those people that are looking to get access to Structure as you continue to build it out and launch in the first country, what is the best way for people to follow along and to follow into the Structure community online as well?
Sure. So, you can sign up on our website. The website's structure.fi. You can follow us on Twitter, structure_fi. You can read our blog. You can join our Discord. Things are going to be moving very quickly. So one of these social media channels will keep you updated on the latest and greatest developments from our team. And yeah, with any luck, we'll be open in the country where you're calling in from, and you can jump on the app and enjoy the vast world of trading and investing.
Amazing. I will leave all those links in the description box below. Bryan, all the best with the launch of Structure and just everything in the continued growth. I appreciate you taking the time, and let's follow up in the near future.
Cool. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ashton. Have a good day.